I'm Malik from Malik Books. I'm located in the Bald Hills Crenshaw Mall and the Fox Hills Mall. We specialize in African American books, diversity books. We also have a large selection of children books because children are 100% of our future. Malik Books is the total African American experience of pride, of culture, of self-esteem, self-awareness, where we give voice to voiceless. Malik Books desires to transform your life with the Nipsey Hussle reading list. Malik Books designed the Nipsey Hussle pack, which is 4 books from the Nipsey Hussle reading list. That was the most significant books to help transform and empower Nipsey Hussle's life. In addition to books, we also offer a variety of gifts full of African American Afrocentric expression. We have journals, planners, tote bags, puzzles, steel bottle and travel cups, backpack. We believe at Malik Books, change your thoughts, change your life. Malik Books is just not a bookstore. We do a lot of outreach and we serve books to kids that are in need. Well, my affirmation I would like to give to the world is to find yourself, be yourself, act like yourself. And books are a major part of growing into yourself.
Hello, everyone. We're just adjusting a couple of things, that's all. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Storytime Live this evening at Malik Bookstore here in Culver City, California. It's so good to see all of your smiling faces today. I'm so excited. Today is a very special Storytime Live because we are actually going to have an opportunity to meet the author of one of the children's books that's being read. So just before we get started today, I just want to give you all some awareness. This week is National Infertility Awareness Week. It lasts for 1 week in April, and it goes from April the 18th to April the 24th. And we wear orange in support of the awareness. So I just want to give shout outs to the infertility community and for the Trying to Conceive community, TTC. We want you to know that you are recognized. And we do also recognize here at Malik Bookstore that every child gets here a different way, and every baby is special no matter how they get here. So today, we have 2 books that we're going to read, and both are going to center around how our babies come into our arms. So for the children who are watching, you can sit back, you can relax, you can snuggle under a blanket, or you can sit with your mom and dad and get a snack. For the adults, feel free to go ahead and join in, or you can go ahead and cook dinner. So we just want you to know that every child is special, and every child, even though, let's say, their mommy or daddy their mommy, did not carry them in their stomach, they all got here a special way, right? So this first book we're going to read is by Gabrielle Union, and it's called Welcome to the Party. So again, sit back, relax, snuggle up, and let's get into our first book of Welcome to the Party. And one thing that I love about this book that Gabrielle Union has put in the beginning, which I think is so important, and it really just highlights National Infertility Awareness Week and how different babies get here. It says, "To my daughter Kavia James and every family whose journey to baby might have taken a bit longer than expected, welcome to the party. You are right on time, Gabrielle Union. And I think that's a beautiful message that she has written to her daughter, Kavia. So, Welcome to the Party by Gabrielle Union. Okay, it says, "Sweet baby, there's a party happening, and it's you who's invited. From your kicks and your taps, I can tell you're excited. You're the guest of honor. Let me show you around. Take my hand and we'll share this new love we have found. Say hi to your guests. They're happy to meet you. They've waited so long and can't wait to meet you. Strut down the red carpet. The crowd will cheer loudly. As you sashay and twirl, remember, shine proudly. Take your place at the table topped with yummy everything, where we'll eat, share laughs, and play. Kiss the tummies. The venue is your castle and your rule, and you rule supreme. There's even a spot and for me. Catch your vibe on the dance floor. Feel the sound of the beat. We'll always celebrate our role. After every guest leaves and all the bananas pop, our shindig keeps going and will never, ever stop. I love you to infinity with a smile big and hard. We're glad you could make it. Welcome to the party. That is. And on the back of the book, which is so nice, it's a picture of Gabrielle Union and her precious baby girl, Alvia James. And if you all can see that. And again, this is called Welcome to the Party. And what I like about this book, it focuses on how every family gets a baby in a different way. So the baby could come through surrogacy, which means for little boys and girls who are watching, that means that your mommy did not carry you, right? Someone else carried you, but you still made it into your mommy's arms. The other way that you could also get into your mother's arms, which I think is beautiful about this book with Gabrielle Union, through adoption. Some babies, guess what? They come from a different mommy and a different daddy, and they end up in a different home. And guess what? They make that home so special. And people are able to start their family. So I just want to reiterate that however you got here, you are extremely special and extremely loved. And guess what? There's a family who just loves to welcome you to the party. Now, for our second book, which I'm very excited to read. This book is called Embaby Elio by Christina Oberon. And this book is so precious because there are different stories going on in infertility. This book is a children's book that focuses on how the baby made it into their mother's tummy. So I just want everyone to cuddle up and snuggle up with your little ones and listen to this precious story. It's so heartfelt. I could absolutely feel when I was reading this book that these parents wanted this baby here. So let's see how Embaby Elio met his mom and dad. Written by Christina Oberon. And I love to read the dedications. This says, it's dedicated to my darling boy, Kai. You are the first embryo, the strongest, and have become our greatest love. Thank you for choosing us. I think that's such a beautiful message that Christina has written to her baby boy, Kai. It says, I started as a dream in my mommy and daddy's hearts. All they ever wanted was a sweet baby to love and hold in their arms. I was determined to be that baby. Elio sounds pretty strong. But my journey to meet them was a bumpy one. Mommy's body was different. It wasn't easy for her to have a baby. Sometimes she cried when she thought of her infant coming. Then she met a nice doctor who could help. I was made in a special way with the help of this doctor. My adventure began when I traveled to a faraway land with bright lights and was left to grow on my own. The lights were so bright, I kept my eyes shut. So you see, there's Embaby Elio right there. He's in this little bitty dish in the dark. I grew a little each day, bigger and stronger than the day before, until I grew into an embryo. Embaby Elio, that's me. I'm just a happy, big-eyed little peanut who is curious about everything. I love an adventure, but I wasn't expecting what came next. I wonder where Elio is going to go next. I suddenly found myself traveling to another distant land. This time, the land was cold and covered in ice. Before I knew it, I was completely frozen. Oh my goodness. Baby Elio is completely frozen in a little block of ice. One day, the ice started to melt away. I was thawing out. In a swift surprise, I traveled quickly into another realm. Where could I be going this time? I was nervous and excited at the same time. I wonder where he's going to go next. It was a long, narrow tunnel with no end in sight. I felt afraid traveling in this dark space. Where was it taking me? I slipped and slid through a dark passageway into the unknown. And then all of a sudden, the next, I wonder where he's going to end up. Squish! I landed in a soft, warm place. This was a very special and memorable day. It was the day I landed in my mommy's belly. He looked so comfortable in his mom's belly. It felt safe and also much like home. It was warm and comfortable. I felt sleepy after that long journey. I snuggled in and fell into a deep sleep. Helios had a long day of traveling. When I awoke, there was yummy food to eat all around me. Burgers, fries, donuts, and my favorite, ice cream. It was a feast. I ate and grew and grew and ate. Mommy's belly was the best place. Could it get any better? And I love the secret eating of this stuff. Before I knew it, I ran out of room. I grew so big and there was nowhere left for me to go. So I traveled to another world, but this time I was not alone. I was held tightly and kissed all over by two special people. My journey as an arms of my mom. They had waited for me all this time. They smiled so big at me, and I smiled back. So, see, Elio finally gets to meet his mom and his dad. I started as a dream in their hearts and arrived as a baby to hold in their arms, where I will forever be loved. The end. And again, the name of this book is called Embaby Elio by author Christina Oberon. And it's such a precious story. So you see, everyone, even though Embaby, he started off very differently in how he ended up in his mommy's tummy, guess what? He ended up in his mommy and daddy's arms. I love this story. So today, for Storytime Live, since it's National Infertility Awareness Week, and Malik Bookstore absolutely supports that, and he carries some literature for those who are embarking on that journey, we're introducing a new series. So moms and dads, please come in. If those of you who have joined us from the TTC community, trying to conceive, that's what it stands for, please join us. Any children that were conceived, through the trying to conceive community, please come and join us. This is your time. Today we're going to introduce Meet the Author Live. So this gives people a chance to meet some of the writers of these wonderful children's books who are here at Malik's bookstore. And we will also have a series that will also introduce authors of other books in the store, which are adult books. But today we're going to focus on the children's book. So right now, I want to take the time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read a little bit about the author Christina Oberon before I bring her in. I'm actually going to read what's in the back of her book. This says, Christina Oberon grew up in Hawaii with a large family of 10 siblings. When she relocated to Southern California, she met and fell in love with her husband, Kevin. They experienced nearly 4 years of infertility before conceiving their son Kai via in vitro fertilization. Kai was born in 2018. He is a wonderful blessing and a reminder of Christina and Kevin's faith and hope for for a family of their own. Christina enjoys raising her son, traveling with her family, reading, writing, hiking, and taking photographs. She is also the author of Hope Strong, which is navigating the emotions of your infertility journey, overcome the pain, and thrive with hope. With no further ado, I would like to introduce our very first featured author, Christina Oberon, here at Malik Books. Please introduce yourself to everyone who's out there because they would love to meet the author of this wonderful children's book that we just read, Embaby Elio. Hi, Christina, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's just a little screeching.
Okay, they're working on it. We're gonna work it out.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so thank you for having me, first of all.
I can barely hear you.
Oh,
I
hold
can't
on.
really hear her.
Can you hear me now?
Just 1 second, 1 second.
Hi.
Can you hear me now, Christina?
Can you hear me?
Barely, just a second. They're working on the sounds.
My volume is all the way up.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
A little bit. And now it's off.
Oops, I think your connection went out. Hi.
Okay, they're gonna pop you back up. Just give us a second. Just a second, they're working on the sound. Thank you, everyone. Just bear with us just a second. We have to straighten it out. And just a little. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, Christina, can you say something so I can make sure I can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay!
Okay,
We
all
did
right.
it.
Okay, I apologize, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us while we just fix the sound a little bit. Thank you so much. So let's get into our interview of Meet the Author. So this is author Christina Oberon, who has written, like I was just sharing with you, this wonderful book called Embaby Elio. And it actually talks about the journey of the embryo into the mother's stomach. So how are you today? And I just want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, can you hear me? Because they're screeching. Oh, okay, good. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Christina. I want to thank you for having me on, and Malik Books. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, hold on. Can anyone else hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. It could be my other device here with the microphone on. I'm not sure.
Not a problem.
But can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, so I wanted to thank you guys for having me on, and thank Malik Books for carrying my books and having this showcasing Embaby Elio to everyone tonight. So that's first and foremost. So thank you.
Absolutely. We're so honored to be carrying your books, both Embaby Elio, and we also carry your other book, which is Hope Strong. And we'll let you also talk about that because this is more so for adults. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Hawaii. I grew up on Oahu. and I loved it there. And I grew up with 10 siblings and a hardworking mom, and so I was always surrounded by kids and babies and loud, crazy noise in the house. And so my background is what I was familiar with was being around a big family. When I was 20, I decided I had island fever. So I left and I came to California and Los Angeles, and that's where my home is now. I met my husband, we got married, and we went through 4 years of infertility, multiple fertility treatments, and ultimately having our son through IVF. So.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about that journey going through IVF, going through this infertility journey. How did you find out about your infertility? How did you take the news? How did your husband take the news? Because it wasn't just you by yourself. I can't really hear you. Can't- It's the vault. Okay, can you say something, Christina?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. So please continue. Not a problem. Continue.
Okay, so back to your question, I think I realized something was wrong when I just wasn't getting pregnant, and so my husband and I started looking into our options, and we didn't want to go the medical route right away, so we decided to just go the natural route. So started visiting acupuncturists and changing my diet and taking Chinese herbs. Just basically everything to avoid going the medical route, anything very invasive. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out. So we gradually progressed towards IVF, but there were so many steps before that. We did IUI. I had an HSG done, and for those of you who don't know what that is, sometimes women's tubes can be clogged, and so there's a procedure where they unblock their tubes. So I had that done. IUI, like I mentioned, multiple times, and then finally we decided on IVF, and IVF is like I feel like it's your last resort in a way. For us, it was the last resort, and so it's kind of there's so many emotions that go with that because you can't really wrap your head around the fact that you're there, and this is what it's come to, and I think it's really a testament to the power of how strong the desire to be a mother is or to be a parent. And for me, I just gradually got to the point where I was like, I'm going to be a mother and, whatever it takes. And so for my husband, to be honest with you, I was really, really focused on what I was going through throughout the journey. And I didn't really recognize, and I think this is common, I didn't really recognize everything he might have been feeling because sometimes our partners can suppress their feelings so that they're there for you. And so, but in the big picture, he was also feeling the weight of everything he
also going step by step through all the procedures. And we worked well as a team through IVF. He, gave me my shots and came to as many appointments as he could. And it's just a lot. It's really a lot.
So I have a question. Kevin, your husband, supporting you, how did that affect your marriage? Because, to be very honest with you, let's be honest, there's some marriages that infertility can actually break them. Tell us a little bit about what happened in your marriage. How did it affect it? Was there any learning? Did you all grow closer together?
That's a really great question and a really important one. Infertility affects every marriage. I'm confident enough to say that, but I can only speak for my own. And it's a really big deal. And so Kevin and I, we had a really good relationship, solid, like best friends, get along great. But when you come against a challenge that both of you have never faced and you're trying to navigate it together as a team, you're definitely going to clash and butt heads. And there was a learning curve for sure. I can say that. We went through different motions. I think the saddest part of the effect on a marriage, and I think a lot of couples can relate to this, is you start feeling guilt, and then there's backward blame. So early on, when we were like, "What's going on?" You start wondering, is it me or is it you? And then you might start building resentment, and you're like, "It's probably you." And all these thoughts go through your head, and then when you start getting tested or checked, and you do find out it's you, then you start feeling guilty, and then you start feeling. I'm just speaking from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
When I found out.
Of course.
It's probably me. I went through different ranges of guilt, and then you feel bad, and then you feel like you're ruining your life. I know this is extreme, but these are all normal feelings that come up.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like they're better off finding someone else that can have a baby for them. And it's really, really rough. And so that's a really great question. We just had to, I think the point we reached was, and we sat down and talked about this, and we started putting it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. That's real. That's honest.
I'm not going to say, oh no, we were just holding hands together throughout the whole journey. No, we're not. I had my moments where a really ugly side of me came out, and I did mention this in my first book, where I just told my husband, like, just go find someone to have a baby with, because I just felt so much guilt and so much shame, and that's just the reality of it. But we did sit down and we came together, and we were like, look, I have a desire to have a baby. You have a desire to have a baby. We have a desire to have a family of our own. So we have to do this together, So we kind of just came to terms with the fact that this is a partnership and teamwork, and we can't do without each other. But I think the other really important thing to mention is that we also had to have the talk of whether we never had kids and what that would mean for us.
How did that conversation go?
That conversation went well in a way, because Kevin just told me straightforward, like, I would love to have a family, I would love to have a child with you, but at the end of the day, if it's just us, I'm fine. If it's just us, we can travel, I still love you. And while I really loved hearing that, that's still not what I wanted to hear, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciated that, and that was really heartfelt. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I thought, but if you had a child, you would see how much happier you would be. So in the back of my mind, I was like, no, I still want to, be able to deliver as a woman, which is just what I feel like every woman's God-given right is to be able to have a child. And I just wanted that, to be able to give that.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It's one thing, when someone tells us, "Oh, it's okay. I'm so glad that Kevin did say to you, I'm still going to love you. We can travel. We can do that." But it's like something, as being a woman myself, like you said, it's our God-given right. It's kind of like my body was made to do this, and I can't do what my body was made for me to do. So I totally can relate to you on that level, just woman to woman. Absolutely. I have to ask you this. I have to ask you, did you all ever consider adoption or surrogacy?
So I, at that point, I never considered surrogacy
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know if my body could carry the baby. So you don't consider that until you usually get confirmation from the doctor that you shouldn't carry a baby right now. But I will say we did consider adoption. To be honest with you, in the back of my mind, when we were pursuing IVF, I had told myself, like, if IVF doesn't work out, then adoption was probably going to be our next step.
Okay.
And I just have to share a story. So in 2017, I think, maybe it was 2016, I had a friend and she actually sent me a message on Instagram and it was really random and she said, "Hey, I'm pregnant. I don't want the baby. Do you want the baby?" It was so random. And she said, "If you don't want the baby, I'm going to get rid of the baby." And I was put on the spot and I was like, "Think about this. I don't want you to get rid of the baby, you know?" And so, actually, I think she wanted to get rid of the baby first, and I was trying to talk her out of it. And then she said, "Do you want the baby?" So I remember I came home and I was kind of excited, and I told Kevin, I said, "My friend wants to give me her baby." So, and he was excited too. He was kind of on board. We were entertaining the idea, and he said, "Okay, this and that." And so I had tried to reach her for like the next week or two, and when I finally got a hold of her 2 weeks later, she told me, I just remember this one actually. She said, "Oh, I already got rid of the baby." And my heart was just like, "Why would you do that to me?" Like, yeah, I was totally crushed. She had an abortion. And so, after that, it just kind of worried me about the adoption, like what could happen like that. But, to answer your question, yes, their adoption, and that probably would have been like the next step. In fact, I still think about adoption sometimes, to be honest with you. I was blessed.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know how I would have felt. I'm listening to you and I'm hearing like all these emotions. You're already having to deal with infertility, and then you get your hopes up about this possible baby who could be in your arms, and then she's like, "Oh, well, I decided otherwise." I don't know how you felt. How did your husband feel?
We were just like shocked, but we also were in like our third year of infertility, so we were also so used to disappointment.
Hmm.
And anyone who knows when you're facing disappointment after disappointment, you kind of become like, okay, that was just another one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, based off of what you're saying right now, since you do have two books here at Malik Bookstore, I want to give you a minute to talk about this book, which is Hope Strong. So if you all can see this, here you go. And I'm going to read the title of it. It says, Hope Strong, Navigating the Emotions of Your Infertility Journey, Overcome the Pain and Thrive with Hope. And I think what you're saying just kind of glides perfectly into this, because you were navigating so many emotions, your own infertility. You have, I'll hold this book up again. You have the disappointments that you've gone through emotionally. I mean, I have to ask this. I do have a background in social work for those of you who don't know. So, when it comes to emotions, I'm always curious. Were you and your husband, did you all do therapy? If you don't mind me asking, were you going to therapy? How did that look? How did you navigate your emotions to where you could actually have the brain power, or have, how can I say it, actually have the the gumption to actually write this book to help other women while you're still going through your own?
I wasn't going to therapy. I was going to work. To be honest with you.
Okay.
I was going to work and I was going to school. So I actually had a similar conversation earlier this week with a therapist, and I told her I didn't even know therapy was an option. I didn't even know you were supposed to talk. You could talk about infertility, and I didn't know people would care and they would listen. I didn't know if I was, if it was as big as a deal as I felt that it was. I just didn't know. So we didn't go to therapy. My husband didn't go to therapy. I think a lot of people just deal with it. They don't talk about it. They don't go to therapy. A lot of them don't even go to the doctor. They're just like, oh, we're not getting pregnant, so yeah, we didn't.
Okay. Wow. So you all just stuck it out together. That's what it sounds like. So I have to ask.
Your question about, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I never had an intention to write a book. I never had an intention to talk about it. I never had an intention to try to help anyone. It just kind of evolved through the process. And I think that writing was my way of helping myself through the process, I believe. And when there was a turning point when I thought, wow, I need to talk about this and I do want to help, that was only when I realized how many women would send me personal messages on social media to talk about how broken they were and how upset they were and how their family member had just announced a pregnancy and they are depressed and all these things. And I thought to myself, wow, there's so many women going through this and they feel like they can't talk about it. They feel like no one cares and no one understands. So that's when I really thought, I'm okay with talking about it. I'm an open book. No pun intended. And so I don't mind, I'll talk to you about it. And so that's where that kind of came up. And then the book there was never a plan for the book. I actually published that book when I was at my worst. And that's a whole other story, my postpartum journey. But I started writing my feelings and my thoughts and all the different emotions and how can I find hope in the midst of feeling that low and that feeling. And I just started writing it, and of course I direct the hope back to faith in God, not hope in your doctor, not hope in anything else. And that's how the writing process kind of started. And I thought, oh, this might be something nice for people to read. And then the rest is history, I guess.
So it sounds to me that you relied on your faith, which I feel it's very interesting. When I read the back of your book, you come from a family of 10, you have 10 siblings. So, your mother, obviously, you're number 11. So your mother had 11. What number are you? You're number 7, excuse me. Sorry, you're number 7, right? But your mother carried 11 babies. And then, for me, I would think, well, I'm not going to have any issue with infertility because my mom's carried 11 kids. It definitely, hey, I may have 99 problems and infertility is not one of them, honestly, that's what I would be thinking to myself. So I have to ask you, did you ever have any conversations with your mom? Did you ever question her, like, hey, what's going on?
That's a funny thing because the first 2 years I was going through fertility, I didn't talk to my family about it. And I'm not really sure why. I think maybe part of it I was ashamed because my sisters got pregnant and my mom got pregnant. I thought, why would I talk to them? They won't understand. But one of the biggest things I've learned from my own journey is that don't assume that someone doesn't know what you're going through. And so by the time I did talk to my mom and I did talk to some of my sisters, this is long after I did IVF, I was shocked. I found out there's a lot of miscarriages in my family. I also found out from my mom that her mother couldn't get pregnant for 3 years, the first 3 years of her marriage. I also found out, even though my mom has 11 kids, she had 5 miscarriages. I found out one of my sisters has had 8 miscarriages. All of this I had no idea until after my journey because I couldn't talk to them. So I think if you reach the point where you do open up, I think you'll be shocked that women have similar stories, sometimes even worse. They just maybe don't talk about it. And I think I come from a line of really strong women who don't talk about what they're going through. They just deal with it and they get through it. And so this idea of talking about every time you suffer a loss, all this stuff is just not really common. But I appreciated that they were willing to share that with me after, because I was like, well, you could relate maybe on a different level. But yeah, so I did, in the beginning, I did think, how did my mom have so many kids and here I am and my eggs are not working? Like, what is happening? Like, give me your secrets. One of the things I do regret, about not talking to my mom is that I found out that she was eating royal jelly all the time, every day. And for those people who don't know, royal jelly is really big in the infertility community. I actually discovered it on my own randomly through research. And it increases like egg quality and also sperm quality. So it's quality over quantity. And so I wish I had talked to my mom because she used to eat that all the time, and that might explain why she had 11 kids. But she didn't share that with me until I was talking with her about royal jelly, and she was like, "Oh, I used to eat that all the time." And I was like, "Why didn't you tell me these things?" So, yeah. Long story short, talking to people, you'll be surprised. You'll find out a lot of things that are very relatable to your own situation.
I really like the way that you said that. It's infertility, because I was reading and it said, 1 in 8 couples experience this, so it's more common, to be very honest with you. Before your book came in and, before we had a chance, to talk, I never thought that infertility affected 1 in 8 couples, and it's something to go through it like when you're young, because I'm be honest with you, in your 20s, you're not thinking about infertility, egg quality, none of that. Like that's probably that. I can definitely say that was the last thing on my mind. I wasn't worried about it. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. It's so important to have a community of sisters who you can talk to. And even it's funny how you found out more about your family history, because sometimes we don't talk about those things and we just like brush them aside and kind of put them under the carpet. And like you said, we're strong women and we just like move on. But you see, maybe there was some, I don't know, some healing that needed to take place, because now you're finding out, oh, well, this was going on all around me. I just didn't know about it. So.
Yeah, the other important thing that I realized through those conversations was that my assumption that they wouldn't understand because they have babies is not a very fair assessment, because they didn't have babies necessarily easily, to suffer that amount of losses. It's not easy, but so I think it pays to just give people the benefit of the doubt rather than looking at a pregnant woman and say, "Oh, that was so easy for her." We just don't know their specific journey.
I really like the way that you say that, because I would totally be the person to look and say, "Oh, it was easy for her," And like you said, I'm being honest with you. I would definitely think that, and I love the way that you said that. Like, don't assume that we don't know that the journey. So I have to ask you, the pineapple. What does that stand for? Because when I saw the cover, I'm like, Hope Strong. I wonder what the pineapple means.
Right. So I've gotten that question actually several times. So I'm partial to pineapples being white, but that's not why I included it. So the pineapple is a prominent, probably one of the biggest symbols in the infertility community, for different reasons. One, there's a symbolic meaning behind it. So it's the symbol of hope. It's also the symbol of, I think you've probably seen the quote on Instagram, like, stand tall, like, with a crown like a pineapple or something like that. So it's also symbolic of that, you know, when infertility is weighing on you to stand tall with your crown, like pineapple, you know? And then there's also the scientific edible side of it. And it's thought that eating the core of pineapple in the 5 days following an IVF transfer helps with implantation of the embryo. I did it. I was so meticulous about it. I cut my pineapple into 5 exactly even 5 pieces, and every day I just ate my piece of pineapple. And so I just thought that since pineapple is a symbol of hope, and my book is called Hope Strong, I might as well use it.
Okay, well, now I know. Thank you so much. I did not know that about the pineapple, so thank you so much. And yes, I have seen that quote online, you know, pineapples, you know, where it is a crown. I've actually seen that. I have to ask you, what inspired you to write Embaby Elio?
So
It's such a cute story, and it's so heartfelt. When I was reading it, I have to say this. When I was reading it, I could definitely feel that you and your husband wanted this child.
Thank you. Yeah, so true. We did. So I had written, I knew I wanted to write a children's book. I wanted my son to know how special he is to us. I didn't know what the book would look like, and I had written a story from the perspective of Kevin and I, like the parents. And it didn't feel right, so I threw it away. I threw the whole story away. And then I rewrote the story. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I had the idea, why don't I write the story from the perspective of an embryo? It's just different, you know? And so I'll circle back to that, but I wanted to say that earlier this week I had a live with a therapist, Lori Benz. You guys should follow her. And she made a statement that gave me chills, and it's tied into the question you just asked me. She said, I hope I worded this right. She said it's important to know that during infertility, there's 3 journeys happening: the woman, partner, and the baby. And she said it's important to be clear on which story you're telling. So when she said that, I thought about my book, in the children's book, and I thought, you know, that's exactly part of probably what led me to write my book. I wanted a story told from the baby's perspective, not just from mine, you know? But the inspiration behind my book is my son, and I want to make it clear all babies are miracles and all babies are special. Once you see how hard it is to actually make a baby for 1 in 8 of us, you realize how special and like what a miracle it is to create a life. At the same time, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
What percentage of babies in the U.S. do you think were born through IVF? I know it's really common nowadays, but what percentage would you guess?
I'm going to go ahead and say 53%. No. Okay. Okay. Let me go with 80%.
1%.
Wow. 1%.
So, even with as common as IVF is nowadays, only 1% of people born in the US are IVF.
Wow.
So knowing that, I was like,
Absolutely.
and so really wanted a book not just for my son, but all the IVF babies out there and their parents. This is a gift from me to their parents as well. To just let them know like they were really wanted and they're very special and they're very rare and they're supposed to be here. And that's it. So that was my inspiration behind that book.
Wow, I had no idea. 1%. It's
It's crazy.
it's I like I said, even though that's not my story nor my journey, I can, like, I'm sitting here empathizing with you. I know me, I would have been like 1%, like, why even try it, you know? But it definitely shows something about you that even that 1% chance, like, you were so willing to just put it all on the line. Let's go for it. Let's dive in. Let's do IVF. Let's see what happens. So,
That's my personality. I do take risks. I do like to see what happens. So the timing was right because I'm not sure if I'm that brave anymore.
well, maybe you needed that bravery, whatever, you know, the bravery, maybe you needed it for that moment. So I do want to, as we wind down, I do want to ask you about your son, Kai. He is actually here. How old is he? Tell us a little bit about him, a little bit about your husband.
Okay, so he is sleeping. Very, very late nap. But so Kai is going to be 3 in July. He is, if anyone has read my Home Strong book, they will know that I reference how special like him coming to us was because he was our only embryo that made it in our first round of IVF, and which led us to have to do another round of IVF. And even though I ended up with 6 more embryos on the second round of IVF, our doctor still chose him. And so, when our doctor chose the embryo for transfer, he chose the strongest one, and we found out later that the strongest one was the first one who made it. So that story always I'm still like just in awe of that story because it's crazy. Like he was the one, he's the only one that made it, so it's almost like he was meant to be, you know? He is the light of our life. He's really funny, he's really smart, he's really independent. He really is the strong embryo. So, and then my husband, he is exactly how I envisioned how I would want to see our family interacting at the end. He's very hands-on. He's been hands-on since the beginning. I suffered from a lot of complications with my delivery and postpartum, so my husband actually took on a lot of responsibility coming from never changing a diaper to basically having sole care over him for the first few weeks after he was born. So yeah, that's him. I really wanted him to be on camera when he's sleeping.
Not a problem. Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad that you have your miracle baby, that you do have Kai. I'm so glad. It's so good to hear you and Kevin's journey, your husband. And definitely, I just want to take this time right now to recognize any partners, any husbands that are going through the IVF journey. Maybe sometimes that story isn't always told or recognized. So I just want to give a shout out to any husband who's out there who may be going through this with their wife. And please, please, listen to this live. And I hope that you were able to gain some strength and encouragement, and just know that infertility doesn't mean the end of a relationship. It doesn't mean the end of a marriage. I've actually looked at your Instagram page, and it seems like you and your husband are traveling together. And you're also doing things with your baby Kai.
Yeah, we try to live a full life and just our journey definitely defined like are, even though it doesn't define us, but it's always going to be a part. Like when we look at Kai, we have all the memories of how much we fought for him, And so that's just something that I consider a blessing. But I know when you're in the thick of it, it can just seem like it's never ending and it's forever. But I always want to encourage people that there is like light at the other side. And I really love your orange.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, I wanted to also recognize National Infertility Awareness Week. So I heard about orange. Thank you so much. So I decided to wear orange. So, and I love your orange too. Thank you. I feel very connected today. We both have the same colors on. I do. Thank you so much, Christina. Before we end this interview, you are a very first featured author of Meet the Author Live here at Malik Bookstore in Culver City, California. For those of you who have joined, you can find Embaby Elio here at Malik Bookstore. You can come in store. We are located inside of the Culver City Mall. Or you can go to Malik, that's MALIK book, BOOKS.com, and you can go ahead and order it if you choose to. We also carry Christina Oberon's book, Hope Strong. And again, this is for the adults. So this is navigating the emotions of your infertility journey, overcome the pain, and thrive with hope. And I hope by listening to her story, you can see why she wrote this book and how she's able to empathize with readers. So I'm so excited about these two books, and Malik Bookstore is excited also to carry books that support National Infertility Awareness Week and just the infertility journey in general, and in the Trying to Conceive community, which is TTC. I also want to take the time to just also this book called Welcome to the Party by Gabrielle Union. Again, this is another book that shows how a baby just ended up with a family, right? And this baby had a different journey of getting to them. You can also find this book at malikbooks.com. And we're going to do a giveaway this evening. I think that it's appropriate for Infertility Awareness Week. If you would like to be entered in this giveaway, I'm not going to ask anyone to post, how can I say it, to list something describing their journey. All I want you to do is put up an orange heart. That's all you have to do in the comment section. Just paste an orange heart and we'll go ahead and do a random selection. And I truly believe whoever these books, whoever is selected, I have to believe that these books were meant to reach them. So please go ahead and do that. And you will be notified by Friday at your direct message. So I just want to say thank you so much, Christina Oberon, for joining us. Thank you for your time and for your interview. I wish you the best of luck with your family. Hopefully, not a problem. Hopefully one day we're able to meet Kevin and Kai, and please keep us posted on any other upcoming projects that you have.
Definitely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christina. We'll be in touch. Bye-bye.